everyone, I'm Vivien. Thanks for clicking on my video. Today we're going to look at how to decorate your home in the style of Studio McGee. The Studio McGee style is very appealing to the masses, which explains why they now have their own Netflix show. So we're going to look at how to get that look in your own home if that's the kind of style that you're interested in. One of the first questions that comes to mind when looking at Studio McGee spaces is, what style is Studio McGee? What style are they decorating in? So Shea McGee has often defined her style as modern traditional or like streamlined traditional. So basically she fuses modern and traditional elements together, and in this way she manages to keep things feeling classic but without feeling dated or stuffy at the same time. It's a really successful combination of these two styles. She's actually designed in a range of different styles throughout the projects that she shared over the years, but the key here is that she's always mixing styles. And in my opinion, mixing styles is always the best way to keep a space feeling interesting. Shea is all about using natural materials in her spaces. So she likes to use jute, wool, seagrass, linens, rattan, obviously a lot of wood, and she uses a lot of white oak or like bleached oak, unlacquered brass, which is like a brass without any protective coating that ages and patinas over time as you use it. And I've noticed that she's been using velvet for some of her seating arrangements in recent projects, which I think adds a really cozy and warm touch to her spaces. A favorite Studio McGee velvet color lately is like a light camel color. The McGee Co store sells some upholstered pieces in velvet and they call it the color fawn. When we look at Studio McGee kitchens, right now she's been using a lot of unlacquered brass. She does still do mixed metals in her kitchens, but lately she said that she's been more drawn to actually matching metals in her projects. I've noticed that she's been gravitating towards the use of tiles that look handmade. In particular, she'll use them above the stove area, and usually they're in light colors. Shea's actually said before, like if you don't have the budget to go for a handmade tile, then try and go for a tile that at least looks handmade, that has some kind of imperfection in the design, because this can add character to your kitchen. She always likes to add a pot filler above the stove. So luxurious. It's my dream to have one of those. One thing that Shea also likes to do is place artwork in the kitchen, usually on the countertop. I know that a lot of us don't have the space in our kitchens to be just placing artwork arbitrarily on our countertops, but I would definitely encourage you to add artwork into unexpected places like the kitchen. Maybe you can't place it on the counter, but you could hang it and place artwork in other unexpected places as well, like in your laundry room. So to touch on the topic of texture, Shea likes to bring texture into her kitchen by bringing in wood accents. So she'll use like wooden cutting boards and utensils, and she'll bring in interesting vessels and things like that, and also bunches of greenery, and these are ways that she kind of brings warmth into her spaces. In the bedrooms, she always uses beds with headboards because she says it makes the room feel more finished, and usually they're like upholstered in a light neutral fabric, and recently a favorite that I've been noticing are channel back upholstered beds. She pretty much always uses a bench or a sofa at the foot of the bed. Keep in mind that she's usually designing rooms that are quite large, that actually have the space to accommodate these kinds of elements. If the bedroom is large enough, she also really loves to add like a cozy little nook in the corner that consists of usually a chair, a side table, a lamp, and a plant, and some artwork. The beds in her bedrooms are 99% of the time dressed with a variety of mixed textiles in neutral tones, with lots of textural layers. Bathrooms. Most Studio McGee master baths have freestanding tubs. They look very luxurious and very beautiful. Again, a lot of mixed metals. She usually picks a dominant metal and then will pick a secondary metal as like an accent metal. She uses a lot of marble. She also uses vintage rugs in bathrooms as well. She's working in very large bathrooms, so she has the space for this, and obviously this brings a lot of beauty and texture and interest into a bathroom if you're able to do this. Obviously doing something like this is not for everyone. We don't all have bathrooms that big or the budget. The point here is to draw inspiration from these spaces, right? I think what's so appealing about her spaces is not just that they're bright and airy, but that the spaces feel so serene and elegant, but also so inviting and livable at the same time. I think this is largely due to the neutral color schemes and the muted color palettes. So whites, off-whites, creams, warm leathers, beiges, soft blues, bluish grays, grayish greens. These are colors that show up in her spaces over and over again. There are always a lot of statement light fixtures in Studio McGee rooms. You're not going to be finding cheap lighting fixtures, that's for sure. Shea has said before that she thinks that if you're going to splurge anywhere, one of the places you want to be spending your money is on the lighting fixtures. She has said that she can tell when she walks into a room and the lighting is cheap, so that's why her lighting fixtures are quite impressive, because a lot of the budget goes into those. I've seen her use quite a few like round wagon wheel type lighting fixtures, lantern style light fixtures. These are all kind of like modern farmhouse style, but she also goes like for ultra modern light fixtures and pendants as well. She definitely loves an oversized lamp. She will use those in her entryways a lot, and when she styles consoles, there's usually always like a quite large lamp. I've seen her use floor lamps as well. She seems to like to use them next to like an armchair in a cozy nook in a bedroom. All right, so furniture. As I said before, Shea is using a lot of velvet fabric lately. They also like to mix upholstery, leather, and wood in their seating arrangements and in their interiors. They're still using brown leather, and I'm not seeing the use of any black leather. Shea likes to use sofas with bench cushions, because that way nobody like falls between the cushions. She will often place a console table behind her sofas if there's the room for it. One other interesting observation about her furniture arrangements in living rooms in particular is that she likes to mix leggy furniture with boxier furniture. She said that this relaxes the space more and it stops things from feeling too formal. Also, whenever a space is getting too angular or boxy or even too modern, she likes to break things up by adding something with a rounded shape. So whether that's a sofa with a rounded back or a round table to break up two very angular pieces of furniture, or even in the case of her own home where she added arches directly into the build.
Studio McGee actually teamed up with Target and designed an entire range of furniture and decor. The line is called Threshold, and it gives you the McGee & Co look at a fraction of the cost. There are some really nice pieces like this patio love seat that I really love, and this accent chair, and also this bench. I like a lot of their pieces. I'll put a link in the description so you can check out some of the products.
Studio McGee uses board and batten a lot. Sometimes she does it to make ceilings feel taller, and other times she does it just to add depth to a space. And I recommend you do this as well if you have a room that's kind of falling flat or feeling a little boring or doesn't have any architectural interest. This is so easy to DIY. You don't need to be a pro DIYer to do a wall of board and batten. You can look it up on YouTube and just see how to do it, and you can probably get it done in a weekend. Speaking of adding architectural interest, some elements that you'll see time and time again in Studio McGee interiors are beams, built-ins, and shiplap. She keeps her spaces from feeling boring by adding these elements into her builds. She definitely likes her built-ins. She'll often add these flanking fireplaces or above a desk or flanking a desk in an office. You'll also see white painted brick on the interiors sometimes, a lot of white painted shiplap and white beams. Although the beams aren't always painted white, sometimes she does leave them natural. It just depends on the project and how much wood is also kind of going on in the rest of the space. Texture is probably one of the most important things according to Shea McGee. She is obsessed with it. I think the fact that there is so much texture in her spaces is one of the reasons why her spaces are so appealing. If you've ever seen a Studio McGee bedroom or living room, then you'll know that Shea loves her pillows. She loves pillows, textiles, and patterns, and this is a big part of what makes her spaces feel so cozy, the masterful use of these elements. She uses a lot of mixed textiles and textural layers. Usually it's a combination of mixed neutral colors and patterns, often with a lumber pillow thrown in as well. Shea has actually said before that pillow combinations can actually set the tone for an entire space, so it's no coincidence that these pillow combinations are such a big part of her designs. Mixed wood tones. Studio McGee mixes wood tones all the time. Pay attention next time you look at one of their spaces. There's never just one wood tone everywhere, and they always seem to find the perfect balance when mixing wood tones as well. From what I've observed in most of her projects, at least in the past few years, she always goes with like a medium toned or light toned hardwood floor with like a neutral color leaning towards warm. She never goes with that cool gray look, thankfully. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen her use any dark hardwood floors in any of her recent projects. She does use dark tile from time to time, but not dark wood. Indoor trees. A true Studio McGee room is never complete without a large indoor plant in the corner. Basically, they're indoor trees. Studio McGee's most loved indoor trees are definitely olive trees and a variety of ficus trees. Another way that Studio McGee likes to bring in in plants and greenery is by styling large bunches of greenery in statement vessels. Neutral rugs. The rugs that Studio McGee uses are pretty much always neutral toned, often vintage or vintage style. She'll use the odd like plaid pattern or stripe, but generally, if you look at her rooms, the rugs are pretty much always muted vintage. Sometimes she also layers vintage rugs or like neutral toned rugs on top of jute rugs to add an extra layer of coziness. So let's look at what Studio McGee's favorite paint colors are. She always gets questions about like what paint color she uses. Her favorite crisp white is Benjamin Moore Chantilly Lace. Her favorite soft white is Benjamin Moore Simply White. Her favorite creamy whites are Swiss Coffee and White Dove. And she's been known to actually use Swiss Coffee at 75% strength. And that just basically means that she like mixes in white to lighten the color of the paint. These are the paints that she called out in a 2018 Q&A, and she still uses these paint colors to this day. Other Benjamin Moore whites that she uses are China White and Atrium White, and a couple of whites from Sherwin-Williams, namely Alabaster, which is a Joanna Gaines favorite, I seem to recall, and White Flour, as in like baking flour. If you want to know what her favorite grays, blues, greens, and black paints are, there's a blog post on her website that you can go check out at studiomcgee.com. She does go moody from time to time, and when she does do that, I often see her use mainly inky blues and like dark charcoals and the odd dark green, but mostly blue and black. Lastly, warmth and personality. Studio McGee works a lot on new build homes, and one challenge with new builds is that they can lack character and personality and warmth. She definitely makes a conscious effort to bring character and warmth into those new builds, and there's a few methods that she uses over and over to do that. They are, one, by bringing in vintage elements into her spaces. She'll pretty much always have at least one vintage piece in her room, and this obviously brings character into the room and adds that element of imperfection, which can really help tone down the starkness of a space. She also likes to bring in personal touches from her homeowners, so she'll try to introduce like part of a collection or something that's dear to them, something to do with their career or their hobby or something like that. She did this in her husband's home office, and for a couple of clients that were doctors, she brought in some special chairs of theirs. If there's any other designers that you're interested in learning more about, let me know in the comments and I will try and take a look for you. Other than that, follow me on Instagram. I check in there pretty much every day and like to post stories and stuff. All right, thanks. Bye.